Welcome to our first MTSS network meeting for the year, and just appreciate you all taking time out of your very busy schedules to join us today. Um, just want to go ahead and get started. The whole purpose of our network is to help districts have a network to have discussions around MTSS in your districts. And we're always better when we can communicate and get ideas from each other because all of you are doing some really wonderful things in your district. So just so happy to have this space to where we can let you all share and also always appreciate Dr. Melissa Wainwright and Nina Ingram for joining us and providing us great information. So just kind of taking a look at our agenda, we're going to do welcome, sign in. I'm going to do a quick check-in. And then we'll have Dr. Wainwright and Miss Ingram, and then we'll talk about some resources, KVEC contacts, next meeting dates, and some feedback from you all. So look forward to our meeting today. First thing, we kind of talked about it a little bit when we first got on here, but fall is in the air. That is for sure. And so, what want to ask you all, and just to drop in the chat, if you will, what is your favorite thing about fall? Is it the beautiful cut? Like, is it were you the first in line for that Starbucks pumpkin latte? That, the pumpkin, do you like those drinks? Do you like the fall colors? You can't put more than one. Are you really big on Halloween? I was noticing Halloween decorations as we were coming in. Are you loving the fall sports? Are you football has started, it's on, it's going on in the region, or do you like all those festivals that go on? We know Sorghum Festival is going to be going on in Morgan County here in just a couple of weeks. And so, are those the types of things that you love? Myself, okay, I wasn't first in line, but I do like a pumpkin spice latte. I will say that, or a chai. So I'm a 1, 2, and a 5, a little bit of a 4. I like those. I love it. I love it. You are all love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love fall. Some of you, I see we have some that you like the Halloween. There's some really cute decorations I'm seeing up right now. 1 and 2, two's got several. I love the fall colors. I'm excited to see those. Love the drinks too. Oh yes, yes. Thank you all. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you all for sharing. But I just always like to do a little something to check in to kind of get us, just a nice, happy thought there for us. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is we're always so thankful to have Dr. Melissa Wainwright. She joins us and gives us great information in relation to MTSS for the state of Kentucky, and just always appreciate her support. I do have the link to her slides, and I am going to drop those in the chat for you all here. But I'm going to stop sharing so that she can share her slides. And she's going to be talking with you all about a lot of great information. I know a lot of you have the survey on your mind that's due October 1st. And so she will go into as much detail as you all want, little. And so just kind of drop in the chat to give her, when she asks questions, just to kind of give her a feel of where you want her to go with everything. But always so appreciate having her. She does a fabulous job. And thank you, Dr. Wainwright, for being here with us today.
It is always so much fun to be with KVEC. I love, Mary, that you extend the invitation. And I really do, as Mary said, I want this to be what you need and what you want. I have information about the survey. I think there may be 1 or 2 on the call that have submitted already. And if you haven't, please, that is not any indication of anything other than you just have time to do it until October 1st. I love to see this group evolving and growing over the years, Mary, to see the strengthening and some people in new positions. And so in the room, we probably have people that are in these different phases that I have on the screen here. And I want you just to take a minute to think about kind of where you are in the process personally with your understanding of MTSS, and then where's your team? So let's look at the first one, beginning. And you see these people kind of planning their trip, because MTSS is a journey, and no matter how long you've been on it, the journey continues to evolve. There are those times and phases in the implementation where we're pulling our people together, we're getting our map, and we're planning out where we're going. That's beginning. Now we look at beginning comprehensively. Where are you with your whole MTSS plan? And then there are times that we're beginning in a certain phase because we are adding something. So we can be at these stages of implementation for different reasons. But beginning, we think about pulling the people together. We might be regrouping, and we're setting out the course. We want to know where we're going. That's beginning. Well, partial, we've done that. We've packed our bags and we're looking at what's ahead of us, and we're ready. We're further along, ready to go. When we're approaching, we're almost to our destination, but we're not quite there, not ready to completely cut the ribbon and walk through to the place that we've planned to visit. And then when we are in full implementation, you can see those that they're, woohoo, we're there. I want to caution you for that, because full implementation does not mean we can truly go, yay, we're there, because it's continuous improvement. So we're continuously going along. And really, when I think about a multi-tiered system of support, I could be at all these different phases in different, I could be in one place, in one domain, in one grade band. So I just want you to think about change as a process. It's not an event. It's not something that we just get to and we just get to say, well, we've arrived. It's continuously working together as a team. So even back at that beginning where we're planning, where we have our people at the table, we want to keep that in mind as we go through. So just pause for a second, think about where you are currently in your understanding, your confidence level of MTSS, and then where do you think your district is? I'm not going to ask you to report it, just ask you to think about that a second. And then I just want to make sure that, if does anyone have any questions about that? That's sort of, if you've done implementation science, there are stages of implementation, and as you work with your schools, be reminded that they're in different places too, so they're going to need different levels of support along the way. I always like to just remind us of what is our common understanding language of MTSS, and you can see that there to the right. And always with that thought of how are we maximizing the outcomes for our students, and really thinking about what are the adults doing to make this happen. So we have that equitable access and opportunity where we think about why. What is it that we need to do as the adults to ensure that our students have equitable access and opportunity? So thinking about students who are coming in with different levels of understanding of academics, different ways of coping with behavior, how do we provide them with what they need? And then how do we provide those adults with what they need? What kind of learning do they need? What resources do they need to have that equitable access and opportunity? Those blue in the middle, if you've been with me before, we talk about how we do that through the teaming process, the data, evidence-based practices and resources, and then the strength of that family school community partnership, that it's truly a partnership. And then our tiered delivery system, which I feel like we do have an understanding now of those tiers for the most part, of understanding them in concept, I would say. In actual delivery and execution, I still think we have a ways to go as a state, and in our different areas of how do we really strengthen that tier one so that we have less students in need of tier two and tier three services. And I'm going to share at the end, I was talking with some of the people in the Office of Teaching and Learning, a couple resources for strengthening tier one. So I have those here for you too. And that is a common question that I get, because people identify with their data that we have a need to strengthen that tier one. And then it's, but how do we do that? And I want to say that in strengthening tier one, it takes those phases of implementation from beginning to building your team to really getting to full implementation. and notice that we have academics, behavior, and that social emotional domains. That's a lot. That is a lot to do. So really getting focused with you and your team of where you are and where you want to be is very important. Think about in your district, if you have people that are new to their positions, maybe you've been in this work a while, but maybe it's new to them. So how are you going to onboard them to the common language of your district and your procedures, your practices to make that multi-tiered system of support happen? And last year, probably just about this time, we were meeting and talking about the first round of this 704 KAR 3:095. You probably don't refer to it the way I do as 704 KAR 3095, but it's been a really exciting opportunity for us as a state to really move from this notion of compliance to how do we make this a part of the way that we do it? And I strongly believe that the people on this call have an opportunity to really have that messaging be, how do we truly meet the needs of our students? Yes, it's a regulation, but we have an opportunity now to say, this is what we're going to do for our kindergarten through 12th grade. And one of the reasons for it was to ensure consistency. When you think about your schools, how do you ensure that consistency among and between the schools and the grade levels? It was to help us to speak the same language, to have some of the same concepts, understandings of a multi-tiered system of support. And it was to give some timelines. Previously, prior to last year, it was RTI K3, and now it's MTSS K12. The submission window for this year, hopefully you all got an email. If you are the designated point of contact in your district for MTSS, you got an email, welcome back from Labor Day, September 2nd, and it had the link to the survey. If for some reason, I feel like let me say this. If you are not listed as the person, you would not have received it. And it's in a system called the WAPOC. And so it's your district that assigns that role. If for some reason a district did not have someone assigned, it went to the superintendent. Since then, some of those superintendents have been naming people. In looking at the names in this room, most of you, I've seen your names on that list, so you did receive it. If for some reason you want to send me a private chat, if there's something that you need worked on, we can talk about that. But the submission window, you have until October 1st. We get a couple of reminders if you haven't. And I wanted to share with you from last year, in case you weren't at March Leadership, this is from 2024, what the districts reported for levels of implementation. This was exciting to me because 96% of us said that we were past the beginning phase. And I still want to say, for those that reported beginning, I'm excited that they're beginning. And I am looking forward to seeing how we've evolved. And I will already say, in looking at what's come in, we have made progress over the last year. And as we said, this is a journey. This is what the districts reported. A few changes that were made from the survey. Actually, I'm going to switch just for a second to show you all where I'm taking this from. So this is the survey that you all received, and I'm just going to go through a few sections to clarify a few updates from last year. So you received it. This is the back end. You don't see the section 1 and 2, but so 2 areas where we received a lot of questions. One was this: interventions are delivered by individuals most qualified. This time we just added a little note. It's for guidance. It's not in regulation. It's just what we are trying to do to help people understand that. So you can see it says the most qualified, they possess the requirements indicated by the intervention, and they're fully trained in it. So you think about that intervention. Are they trained to use it, and are they using it in the way in which it's intended? That's the most qualified. And then if you remember from last time, you'll have each component of the regulation. So this one I just pulled out, interventions delivered by, and then you put a check mark in all the grade bands and domains where you have implementation. If you're not yet in that if it's not implemented yet, just leave it blank. And then the other one was this question of what is early intervention. There was kind of a confusion of early intervention means K1 early years. What we actually mean is that the intervention is provided as soon as it's needed. So you can see the note there, providing it at the appropriate level of intensity as soon as it's needed and identified. That means a student in high school can have an early intervention as soon as it becomes noticed. We provide them what they need. And with that, you mark the areas where you have it in implementation. I'm going to reiterate, if you have questions, ask them. I'm going to go on unless we have something in the chat or someone wants to ask a question. Those were the only two that we added a note because it needed some clarification and we were having multiple questions. So we figured just let's put that in there. Something that if you have opened it and you've started working on it, I hope this reduces some of the workload, some of the maybe time consuming parts of last year. Last year, we allowed districts to upload up to 10 documents. And I feel that people were feeling sort of pressured to add more and more. And also at each component last year, there was a place where you had to indicate evidence for each component. We're not doing that this year. We're just asking you to submit one document that you feel like best represents your implementation. And we've suggested 3 categories. One is your MTSS handbook manual. One is if you've done a self-assessment, it could be the Kentucky multi-tiered system of support self-assessment. It could be other self-assessments that you've done, anything that shows your K-12. We're not asking for school documents, but rather district. If you don't have either of those, you may choose something else that you feel like is good evidence for where you currently are. Giving you an idea of just some others that people have done. A couple districts have provided slideshows that they use at their schools for onboarding. People have given kind of these flow charts, 1-pagers. And so you just have to submit one. So the guidance tells you there what's needed. And then at the very end is where you would upload it. So there's 2 different places. The guidance of evidence is at the beginning, and then at the end you upload it.
Melissa, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So our district, we're I say this quite often, we're building the ship as we're on the water. So we have what I would consider a draft district level MTSS handbook. Is that sufficient if we submit that, because it is a working document and we've been working on it for at least the last year because we want to get it right. So would that be sufficient if we just upload that, but make a note that this is a work in progress?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I love that you asked that because that goes back to that beginning where we started up. Where are you in the implementation phase? I don't expect, this is Melissa speaking, not Melissa. This is Melissa in your shoes. I don't expect that it goes from the very initial to it's completely the way you want it, and it may continue to be a work in progress after you get where you finally are. So absolutely. And if you want to put a watermark on it, whatever you want to do, there is not, I want to say this, there's not a grading, if you will, of what you supply. It's really as much for me, it's yes, we want to comply with the regulation, but I hope that it's a place for you and your district to continue to move along. So yes, absolutely. Totally fine.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. And then at the bottom, there are some voluntary questions. I did not copy. There's one that asks you to state if you have a district team that's voluntary. I love if people answer it because it gives me an idea of where we are with our teaming structure. All those voluntary ones are truly that voluntary. We do ask you to state what type of document you uploaded. And that's just going to help us to be able to look at, okay, what are the districts we're going to be able to categorize them and be able to hopefully provide some feedback on kind of what information we're seeing from self-assessments, from handbooks. I do want to say also, let's say I'm sitting in a seat I'm new at it, or we've had a lot of change for whatever reason. We find ourselves and you're thinking, I don't know, we don't have a document. Something that I've kind of recommended for people just as a thought is that sit down with the team that you do have, whatever you have at the beginning, take the self-assessment for the first time and get a baseline. That's something that you could do if you're struggling with, we don't know what we want to do. So that's just not saying you have to do it, just saying if you find yourself in that position. And then something that we've added this year are these two final questions of, is there something that's especially strong, a recent big win, something you're proud to share? I would love to hear those. I'm looking for bright spots, areas where we're doing well. This is your chance. Brag on something that you're doing really well. I promise you that I will not publish anything without completely talking to you first, but this is giving an idea of we have great things happening. So let's talk about it. Wayne, to your point, we started you don't have to put this, but here's an idea. We started as a team, we're building our handbook. We have a draft. I think that's really motivating to other teams that are sitting there saying, we have all this to do. Where do we start? Whatever it might be. I've had some that say, we're really proud of our documentation that we have because we didn't have it before. So brag on yourselves. And then the other is, are there places where you're struggling or you appreciate technical assistance? I'm hoping that this helps Nina, it helps Mary, it helps the co-ops, Pam, it helps the KDE, it helps you all we can maybe say, here's where we're seeing some areas of need. So what is it that we need to do to help support? That's our role in the process. And so be honest, if there's something that's would be really helpful to you, that's part of why we're here. If there's a resource that you don't have, maybe we can put some people together to create that. And probably if you say it, someone else will be really glad that you brought it to our attention. So those are added this year, and I really hope that helps to give us a new level of data. And we're going to be able to see from 2024 to 2025, how did we progress? I also want to say thank you to all of you that submitted last year and all of you that are going to this year, because we had 98% of our districts respond to the survey. So the data we get reflects I feel like it gives us a good picture of our state. I am only going to be satisfied with 98% or better this year. So I really am asking people to submit because I want a clear picture again for us. So before I go to this, any questions that you've had with the survey, anything that needs clarification? So gather whomever you want to work on it, and I look forward to seeing where the districts in KVEC have made progress over the last year. Wanted to remind you of this because the teaming structure is so important, and this cascading system of support is not just something in Kentucky, it's in research of how do we strengthen that collective responsibility, ownership, and work. And so we do this through this teaming structure. And you're that district leadership team where you are creating the vision, you're creating that infrastructure that supports the schools in their work, and you are building that team of district leadership that represents the population of your district, bringing those people together at the table. And at this level, you want to be looking at, in the MTSS team, district level academic behavioral attendance data to get a pulse on where are your schools, where are you as a district, and what might be needed preventatively, proactively to help maximize student outcomes. That's the role you have. And you have the role to support that blue box. The blue box in the schools, they have 3 teaming structures to develop. And you at the district, how are you supporting them in that of building their school teams, building a robust PLC system, looking at grade level data, and then that student intervention team role? What I see and you may, if you look at your school, see this, people are most comfortable in that student intervention team looking at one student at a time. And we really, while that is important and needed, we really want to get strength in looking at school-wide data to see trends, to see where we can put in place strategies, resources to make a more robust tier 1 so that we have less and less need for that student intervention team. If you're working with schools and they are spending the majority of their time with student intervention teams, I highly recommend that you step back and really strengthen that MTSS school level team, strengthen those PLCs so that you're seeing less and less student intervention teams. And then state agency, regions, we're there to support you in that process. Just a reminder, KYMTSS, we have the newsletter. I feel like if you are on this call, most of you are registered as MTSS points of contact. You already get it automatically, but you may want to think about your school contacts to see if they're getting it. That's where you'll get more up-to-date information and the resources for the elements, the video collection, and the resource library. These 3 key areas, I feel like a broken record with them, but if you're starting out, these will get you moving and continue to sustain you. That implementation guide that was updated last year, the self-assessment tool, and the video collection. To help support you, I just put this in here for you to have. Mary, you're gonna, if you haven't already, share the slides. This is in the implementation guide, page 9. And one of the things we did this time was really to highlight those levels of teaming. We elaborated on some of the things that needed more clarification. This in the red box or red rectangle gives you some ideas of the members that you might have at your team, and depending how large or how small you want your team, having representation that has expertise, experience, knowledge, current knowledge of these would be at the table. And then notice this is a systems level at the district teaming structure. So how are you building that framework? How are you providing guidance and direction through your handbooks, through your manuals, through those flow charts that you're developing? And you're really looking at the system level of what is it going to look like at the universal level, the targeted level, and the intensive level. That's the role. You're architects, if you will. You're building that structure of what it's going to look like. And then if you can notice those core functions, there are a lot, and I'm not going to read all of those to you, but that is from the implementation guide, page 9. That table is explained in more detail. And then I included for you, oops, sorry. If you go to the next page, the reason I linked that is if you're looking at it, the next part will be the school level teams. And so you can look and see what are those school level teams supposed to be doing. Great questions to take back to your team to say, is this where we're focused? Is this where our core functions are? If not, maybe we need to regroup just a little bit. Again, it has the resources linked. It has some light bulb moments for you. And then the school team there for you if you're working with your school teams, kind of what are they doing and their core functions. And they want to be looking at school-wide data and then using that 4-step problem solving model. I included these just reminders for you that they're there from the KYMTSS website. Each element has a landing page. Here's one for the teaming structure. If you look here where I'm at common MTSS team and functions, if I were to push the plus sign, it expands and gives me some understanding. Just another way to get that information. Perhaps you're working with schools, let them look at the drop down for school, grade level, and student intervention teams. That'll take us to a resource and tools page. And this with featured resources. Coming this semester, there should be a 2.0 self-assessment tool. We're not changing it so much that it wouldn't still be able to work well with the current one, but we're updating it with just some, hopefully streamlining it a little bit, making it a little bit more succinct. So in that, each essential elements has featured resources, and then at the bottom, some additional resources. So each element, when you look on those featured resources, I will say that when you get the newsletter, it'll tell you what's going to be on an upcoming featured resource. And a reminder, we have that secondary support where we're continuing to add to it. I wish that we were getting more research and evidence to add to that. We're kind of having to build some of our own because across the nation, people are really needing support with secondary schools. But as we have those, we'll continue to add to those. Told you I was going to share with you a couple things for strengthening tier one. I asked Misty and Fox, the PL providers for the Office of Teaching and Learning, for capacity, sustainability, where would we direct people? And the model curriculum framework, yes, but they said curriculum implementation framework would be a great place. And I wanted to just show you quickly if you haven't been on it, because it really parallels where we started with that implementation process. And I linked these on the slides, so you have them. They go through launch, which would be beginning. And so what do you as a district leadership team do? What does the school leader do? What are the teachers doing? What are the students doing? And it does that for the phases of early implementation. So we'd have that partial implementation, ongoing, and so moving into that full implementation. But it takes you through what are you doing at the district level, school level, teacher level. So that was one that they suggested. I'm curious on the call, has anyone been able to get in and use that, and where might you found it to be helpful to you?
Melissa, I do want to read a comment in the chat for you so that this would be a really good comment for you to take and keep in mind. It says the KYMTSS page has been a lifesaver for our district. The resources there are more than we could ever dig into, but every time we hit a bump in the road, there is a resource to assist us moving forward. We utilize the rubrics on there to develop a district monitoring tool. Very appreciative of the work that has gone into these resources.
Well, thank you to, I'll see who wrote it, but I so appreciate that. And I hope it is. That is the desire, that it does exactly that. And also that you have people you can connect to help you with that. If it's not practical, I want to give you research and evidence, but I want it to be practical, that you can take it and use it. So thank you for saying that. And most of all, thank you for using the resources.
And also in the chat, it says, yes, Johnson has utilized the curriculum implementation framework.
So that was one that they suggested. And the other one, as I am fairly sure that you have used, is this intellectual prep guidance. They strongly recommended that. And whoops, sorry about that. I just got out of there. So that is not super long, but it takes you then to these unit internalizations for math, reading and writing, science, and then lesson internalization. These will help in that PLC, that grade level content area. Those two would be great. If you are using them, continue to use them. If not, might be something to delve into. Whoa, we got out of where we wanted to be.
Also in the chat says both of those are good documents and we have used them. I agree with Amanda about the KYMTSS site as well. It's a great resource.
Thank you. I'll get back. So I clicked out and that we will not start over. I promise, guys. Just look away for a minute.
Yes.
Okay. Additionally, places to go for tier one. And Nina, I think you'll have some more to add to this from KY Avery, that I really need to just add to this because you have a wealth of resources also. This model curriculum framework that I mentioned, that takes you right to it. The high quality instructional resource page supports for you as you're in that search and implementation of HQIO resources. PBIS, National or KDE, and then the Northwest Center for PBIS is there. And then SEL, bottom left is KDE and Castle. In looking at this was a surprise to me in the survey, and it's sort of holding true again this year, that as a state, we're not indicating behavioral implementation of a tiered delivery system. And I've wondered about that because we've had PBIS since 1997. And my wonder is, are people seeing that PBIS is your implementation? It may be a part of your implementation process. And I don't know the answer to that, but it's been intriguing to me that we have last year and this year not showing as much implementation of behavioral systems of support. And that's been a wonder to me. And as you're completing that survey, thinking about, do we have systems in place for our behavior? Because it's not showing as one that's indicated as we do overall. And that's been a big wonder to me of where's the gap? Is it that we don't understand that PBIS is a part of our multi-tiered system of support? We think of it as separate, or do we really not have systems in place to support our students? Y'all can.
That is interesting, Melissa. I hadn't, but if they have that, that is their behavior support, isn't it? But if they're not putting that they have it, that is a very good question.
Question would be really a good question even to ask district leaders, ask your school leaders, do they see it as that? And do they have it in place, or are we solely consequence based? Then we need to look at that too. But these are just to help you if you're looking for places to go. And then that action plan that's there takes you through the whole year. This is an example. Certainly there are others, but it does take you through looking at where you want to be, and it has places for your agenda and your notes in it. And then if you are at March Leadership, Opportunity Maker, this might be a good one for us to send back out. They studied these high performing schools, these trajectory changing schools that were able to close achievement gaps, see 1.3 or higher growth in students per year. And it was across the country, of small schools, large schools. This is what they did to make change in their steps. They chose a narrow entry point. They had a focus and they knew where they were going. They invested in one or two areas. They improved step by step. They saw where they were going, but they did it in steps. And then they sustained it year by year. Once they had something going, they ensured that they kept that moving with capacity building and making sure their people knew what they were doing. So my
Um,
question, oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry, Melissa. I hate to interrupt you, but I do want to highlight, like, that is a really good study. We did have Wolfe County that was recognized nationally for making those gains, and they are, and I do want to invite, I think everybody on here gets the emails, and I guess better double check with Jeff Stamper too, Dr. Stamper, but they're going to share next Thursday at our instructional admin meeting, like key things that they have been doing in relation to help get those gains, like what you mentioned before, because they were recognized nationally for making those gains. So really excited about that. But you all are invited to that. That will be part of our next. Thank you. I was a little nervous, Jeff, was to say in there, but they're going to share their story on Thursday of some of the things they have in place connected to what you just shared there. So just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that.
And it is doable. They've shown, Wolfe County has shown it. There are schools across the nation that have shown that it is possible with time, attention, dedication to the process. Before we move to the next part, just pause for a second what is your next step, the next thing you need to do in moving MTSS implementation further in your district? Just pause for a second. Is it an email? Share something, look at a resource, take a note of what you feel like you would need to do to move your work forward. My contact info is there. I feel like many of you on the call, we've had opportunities to connect. I'm always available. Should you need something, email me and I'll do my best to connect you to an answer or a resource. And thank you again for the invite to be here.
You are always welcome, Melissa. We love having you and appreciate. Now, you all, if there is a question, please do not hesitate to ask Melissa in relation. I know a lot of you all are working on those surveys that are due October 1st, but she is wonderful to respond back. She's always gets back with me super quick. So please do email her if you come across your survey and you do have questions. But just she does a fabulous job and really appreciate you always joining us, Melissa. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm gonna hang on and just listen. I want to hear the KY Avery resources, and so just thanks again.
Oh, thank you. Well, awesome information. Want to again thank Melissa for sharing. Next, we have Nina Ingram joining us, and I'm just going to be honest, Nina. When I was in district, and I didn't really know a lot about the Kentucky Avery site, and I was a little frustrated when I did find out about it because I was PD coordinator, and you all have a fabulous housing of resources, and we even had flex PD, and I think about our mentors and our principals having just great resources to be able to share with teachers if they're struggling with so I was a little frustrated when I found out, and so I am so glad you're here to share, because I think it's a resource that everybody needs to know about. And so just thank you for taking your time. I will drop the link in the chat so you all also have access to her slides. But thank you for being here with us, Nina. We appreciate you so much.
I'm glad to be here. And I also in the district did not know about all of this until I actually began working with Kentucky Avery. So I totally understand, Mary. That's I could see that as being a frustration, but I'm glad to be here to share with you again. As Mary said, I'm Nina Ingram. I work with Kentucky Avery, which is also through the University of Louisville. So what I'm going to share with you is it's a few things this morning. But Kentucky Avery, and I'm not going to read the slides to you, but we're basically here to support students statewide. We work with the districts, especially the districts who are CCIS, but we work across the state with all districts, and we work closely with the surtax as well, KVEC, and all the surtax across the state, and we work closely with them, and just we offer different things for that. So, but here's just a little information about what Kentucky Avery is. It's actually through our CYBERS, which is the Center for Instructional and Behavior Research in Schools. And, the CYBERS there's a lot of videos through the CYBERS. There is badging, professional development, and these links that are on here, and Mary is going to share this with you. And the link should be live, so that it'll take you to all the different things that are here. I'm going to kind of skip on. So Kentucky Avery is there's a very few of us across the state. I know in the surtax there's the groups of them at each of the surtax. There's a very few of us that does the Kentucky Avery, but we represent a partnership with Kentucky, with KDE, and then also the office of the OCL. We give ongoing assistance. We deliver coaching, virtual guidance, in-person assistance. And then we have lots and lots of resources like Mary said, and like Melissa shared as well. So let's see if I can go on here. The biggest thing we address the disproportionality, especially with students who have a disability. So, we support those districts and work with them, and help implement, the CCIS, and then we, like I said, ongoing coaching, and then we also, all of our resources are free. It's free to have any of us with Kentucky ABRE to come out and work with the districts. These are all free resources, and there's tons and tons of training materials and videos and different things. So, and I'm going to actually show you those. So this link takes you to the Kentucky ABRE webpage. And as you can see across the top, there are many different options. There's the video library, there's courses, there's projects, but also on the side over here, there's if we have training events coming up, we try to keep that updated. There's documents and forms, resources, and then of course a contact. I'm actually going to go to this documents and forms because, as Melissa was talking about with the MTSS, there are lots of Kentucky ABRE resources that have been developed. So, and those are at this training documents and forms on the Kentucky ABRE website. There's all of these that are already developed for you if you decide to use any of those. So those are there as a support for, the districts. And these, again, these are all free resources. And then also down here at the bottom, there is some PBIS resources, the ABC chart, just the different, different resources that are there under that documents, training documents and forms on the Kentucky ABRE website. So, and then we also have our video library, and that's going to take you to the cyber section, and there are lots of videos here. You can choose a section here at the top. I'm going to go into that just a little bit more, but that's here on the Kentucky ABRE website too. And all this is housed under the Cybers website. But let me go back. So that is the link to the Kentucky ABRE page. Well, so as I said, this is all linked through the Cybers. So this is just a little bit about the Cybers website and the things that Cybers does. The Cybers, again, is a Center for Instructional Behavior Research in schools. It's dedicated to preventing student failure academically, socially, and behaviorally through evidence-based approaches. And then our Cybers team actually develops these videos. They write the scripts, they create the videos, and the whole, everything that goes along with that and on our Cybers team. And come on. The thing too about Cybers, there's tons of educational videos. Those are there online 24/7, so you can access those at any time. Those would be great for professional development. And the badging part of it actually gives you PD credit and ELA credit as well. So those are there, they're there to enable professional growth, through the structured learning experiences. And then this link here will take you to the Cybers webpage. You will log in. If you've never logged in before, you will just create an account and log in, and you will actually browse some of the things that are on here. And there's all kinds of different, courses that are there, and they do go through, for example, this PBIS Tier 1 modules. There's several modules within that, and you take a quiz at the end, like I think it's like 5 questions, something like that. You take a quiz at the end of each module, and then at the end, you would actually receive a professional development certificate for completing that. And there's all kinds of different ones. You would just choose, you can just choose, you can search. There's tons of different ones on here. These are our 2 newest ones, this classroom management and this mathematics intervention in the elementary grades. Those are 2 new ones that are on there.
Do, Nina, do they all have ELA credit? You said a professional certificate. Does each certificate also have ELA with it?
Yes, it does. It
Okay.
does. And if there's an email at the end, and Jessica Bird is the one that takes care of those at the University of Louisville. And, if for some reason they're ever not there, then we just contact one of us or her, and she would make sure. But yes, they all do have ELA credit.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome. So that is the Cybers webpage. And again, you just log in and then you would add the course to your cart basically, and then you would just, complete that course. And then if you're not looking for professional development credit, you can also visit the Cybers YouTube channel. And on this YouTube channel, there are different videos. I'm actually going to click on the videos here. You can do it by playlist if you want. So if you look down through here, there's almost all of these that are on the YouTube are part of the badging that's in the Cybers as well. But again, if you're not looking to, receive professional development credit, you're just wanting to do, maybe a short module or something, there are all kinds of different ones in here. There's the UFly. I know a lot of schools are using the UFly right now. So if you want to refresh or, whatever, there's different modules for the UFly as well. I'm going to go on down. We have paraeducator modules. There's modules in Cybers that goes along with the paraeducators, and those would be good. And some districts are using those as far as like NTI days when, the paraeducators are expected to, complete a task, then they would do those one maybe the paraeducator or maybe just the one of these different modules that would go along with that. um, Whatever it is that that they're expected, there's all kinds of different ones on here. um, there's some older ones and some newer ones, so I'm not going to go through all those, but as you can see, there are a lot of different videos on the Cybers YouTube page. And most are in the badging, but there are some that are not. So, but I did want to share that with you. So again, you can get to that either through this training.cybers.com, or you can go to the Cybers YouTube channel and view those as well. So something new that we're it's through the University of Louisville, and it's through it's the Kentucky Reading Research Center, and it's through them, but they're kind of a side project, and we all kind of, the Cybers and the Kentucky ABRE and the Kentucky Reading Research Center, we all kind of work together. We've got one of their team of the Kentucky Reading Research Center team members is on our team, so we've been kind of discussing with her. But I did want to share this resource. This is kind of in addition to the Cybers and the Kentucky ABRE, but again, I want to just share that. It's new to the state. Again, it is a free resource as well. This is the link to their webpage, and as you can see, you can sign up to receive updates. There's all kinds of different options here, research. So if you scroll down on their page, it has reading resources, and it's, the leaders, educators, parents, the educator preparation providers, it's got different resources that are there on that. This tells just a little bit more about the Kentucky Reading Research Center. This, I don't know if I can zoom in, but this Jennifer Pollard is actually, part of our team as well. So she's one of the, and she's working with the Kentucky Reading Research, and also with Dr. Terry Scott. And Dr. Terry Scott leads our Kentucky ABRE group. So I did want to share that. That's something new, but I wanted to make sure that you all had that resource as well. Um, so then. So, just a little bit, we're dedicated to implementing, evidence-based practices. We come out, we can work with school districts. We want to empower educators and teachers and administrators, with the tools and the training and strategies that they need. Here's the links to Cybers and Kentucky Reading Research. And then also, as I kind of stated at the beginning, we do collaborate with the Surtax and we work closely with them and, just offer support and, and actually they give us support as well. So, I want to, shout out to our Surtax because they are a great resource. Absolutely. Here is my contact information if anyone would like to get a hold of me. There is my email address, nina.ingram@louisville.edu, or I have the Gmail account, and there's my phone number. Please reach out if you have any questions, if there's anything you'd like to discuss, if there's something that you feel like that you just need, an extra resource with. I'm happy to reach out and to offer that support. Okay, any questions? Let's see.
Any questions for Nina? That's some awesome information. And you even have added more than you had other things on there I didn't know that you had, Nina. So you informed me even more there. I didn't know you had the larger literacy piece built in there. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Like it. Awesome, awesome. I'll share my
Right.
screen. But thank
I
you.
think you had shared that with them, correct?
Yes, I dropped the link in the
All
chat
right.
for them.
Thank
So
you
they
so
have the
much.
slides and it's in their participant folder. I am so glad you said that because that will cause me to go back and redrop that link in there for them because this is one of those things, and it is at the bottom of our Padlet under the MTSS coordinators that we have as well the participant folder. So if you ever lose this folder, I know some of us uh, we're working on developing a system to be able to access all of our things. So just make sure that you realize that that is also at the bottom of the MTSS coordinators, along with the MTSS Padlet that Melissa has made, as well as in your column on that. And we'll go back over that for those of you that haven't maybe taken a look at that. But so glad. That's a great information, wonderful resource. And that was one of the things, and I always appreciate Nina sharing that information because as districts, we're always looking for that professional support for our staff. And so having those videos readily on hand, and I love that you also acknowledged our CERTAC groups, which we have a fabulous one here at KVEC. And I did want to share with you all also what they have done. They have restructured their special ed website. And so just want to make sure when you said that, I was like, well, I need to highlight that too, because you're correct, because there's resources there that they're providing. But if you go to our website, and I'm going to drop it in the chat for you all. Whoops, I did the wrong one. That's the participant folder. Already did that, didn't I? So it's just kvec.theholler.org. If I know several of you all have utilized that, but just want to make sure that you all realize what's all on there. They've done a little redesign for us. The Holler guys have, and everybody needs a Holler. Let me just tell you, they are awesome. But anytime like upcoming for professional learning that we're having at KVEC, that's there on the PL calendar so that you can always share with people of upcoming things. But let's take a look at the special education website. Just want to make sure that you realize what all that they have going on, because I know that a lot of us reach out to them for additional support. And it's coming up. But it mentions all their cadres. Also on the other side, it had additional cadres listed. But this resource list is what I wanted to bring up. And Nina made mention of a great resource for your paraeducators to be able to use on their website. So definitely use that. They also have things available for your paraeducators. We know, I think over 200 had been used of the different videos for the paraeducators. And that our districts have used on those NTI days, because we all know that we need to be having some documentation of work. And so these are great things to do. And I don't know, but it's taken a long time to think about pulling up. I don't know about that. I'll have to check with the hauler guys and see what's going on. But they have a great resource on that. I don't know if there's just so much. I'm going to let it sit there for a second. But you have a wealth of videos, cadres also there that you can use for support. I wonder if the PL calendar will pull up. Let's see. It's making me wonder if we're having a site. Okay. So like PL calendar, we have today our MTSS. Tomorrow we've got Friskies. Friday there's a principal support network that special ed does. You have your low incident cadre. So we have all of these different things listed so that anybody who's interested can take part in. One thing I do want to mention is right here, this designing a local accountability system presented by KDE. I do want to make sure that you all are aware of that because there was a change, and these are being offered at the different co-ops across the state. So yes, you go to the one that's closest to you in relation to this, but I did want to make sure that you all were aware of this, and we all know that Kentucky is focusing on vibrant learning and that they are going to be making proposals to the legislature to make some changes to the accountability system. And part of that is local accountability. And I know that you all are a part of MTSS, but MTSS encompasses everything to me in a school district. And so this is very relevant to you all and making sure that you're aware of this. But we do have coming, not this Thursday, it was going to be Thursday the 11th, but they developed this, you'll see it, this design guide and toolkit for local accountability. And they're going to be doing a training here at KVEC on September 26th. And when you click on that flyer, it's going to kind of give you support on like who you probably want at the table with you when you're doing this meeting. Because you're going to want some district admin, you're going to want some school admin, some teacher support in there too. And so just making sure that you're aware that that training is going on. Now, if legislators do not pass this, vibrant learning that the department is proposing, it's still good tools for your toolbox, in my opinion, on that. But it is very much in process of going to legislation to be approved. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. But that is going to be September 26th. That's a Friday here at KVEC that they will be here, and it's a half a day. This first meeting is from 9 to 12, and that flyer that I dropped in the chat also has the registration link on it. So please be sure that you are aware of this, or that you share it, and that you have a team coming to learn about this. I think it's important that we all at least have some people at present to see what's being shared and what is coming down the pike with this. So just want to make sure that you all are aware of that. Does anybody have any questions on that? Now, we will have additional meetings. We're going to have 3 more meetings after this. It's a separate registration. Several have registered for it. That first meeting will be November 18th here at KVEC. So this first meeting is going to be here, and then we will make sure that we have this shared out so that everybody knows, because we want to make sure everybody is aware of these meetings that are going on. But if you don't have any questions, we'll move on. Different resources that I mentioned, I do want to drop this in we did take a look at the PL calendar already, so I already gave you a link to that, but we do have our Padlet, and I do want to give a shout out to Pam because she's a big help with me on keeping this updated. But if you click on that link that I just dropped in the chat, you'll see this has all things that are coming up for different roles in districts. So each column is a role in the district. And so you see that we have dropped that local accountability system, the flyer for it under principals, and you'll see it in various ones. things for counselors. There are a conference that's coming up starting tomorrow, but you see all the different roles. But then here you see MTSS coordinator. And so just have added the newsletter, Melissa, that you sent out in August. I have it on there for them. Tools that have been shared. You all shared that it was a suicide prevention month, so that I had that in there. Summer learning resources that had been shared. Different diagnostics and information. As you keep going down, it's different things. And then there's the Padlet that, Melissa, that you have. I had that on there so that they have access to that community of practice. The manual, that equity dashboard, data decisions. Still have Letcher County on there where they were highlighted for MTSS, that the playbook that they launched, the website, implementation guide, and then there's our folder at the very end. I have to give a shout out to Amanda helping me think of, because sometimes we lose where all these folders are. So I do have your folder here at the end. So you might want to bookmark the Padlet. We do update it pretty much daily for everyone so that it has like a lot of the deadlines right up at the top that are coming up, and then toward the bottom are a lot of more of the support websites and resources. And I need to add Kentucky Avery on there, don't I, Nina? On that, so that's on there too. But just want to make sure that you all are aware and realize that that's a resource that we have along with the PL calendar as well, and then also our special ed Surtac site that they have all their awesome resources too. Now, also, does anybody have any questions or needs or anything that you just want to share, or things that we need to discuss for you all in your roles with MTSS? Because we really want to make sure this is addressing your needs. Does anybody have anything that you just kind of want to throw out there? Nobody emailed me anything, any questions that we could address. But is there anything, or even for us to talk about for next time? I have already asked Amanda Lee from Morgan County that they're going to come on. We had Johnson County share light back in the spring of some great things they were doing, and we appreciate Lisa getting that together for us, of having people share some great things that are going on in high schools with MTSS, because that's a challenge. High school is a big challenge when it comes to this supports tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and how we're doing that. And so Amanda said that they would work with me and do that for the next meeting. So of some of the things that they're having that's been successful in their high school. But if there's other things that we could do, would be happy to provide that. But if you'll just drop in the chat or emails, put it in feedback for us so that we know what we need to provide for you all. I know you all are juggling so much, but I'll pause and let anybody say something that they would like for us to try to make sure and continue support for you all. Well,
Mary, if it's okay, would you mind sharing the child find at the bottom of the special ed on the KVEC?
oh, that's a good one. Oh my
That is
goodness.
an awesome resource. I have used it with many districts. It's really great, and if you can just maybe show that to them and they can kind of get on there and explore, that would be great.
That can kind of be their homework because we're getting done a little bit early, and that is
There
a
you
great
go.
tool for them to explore. Thank you. Now this website's working. See, it just needed me to go away for a minute. But what Nina is talking about is right here at the bottom, and a lot of people don't know about these. I am so glad you mentioned that. Thank you, Nina. Wow, you're awesome. When they first shared these with me, it's another one of those things of, wish I'd known this was out there. Let's pick math, because I know everybody loves math, right? But a lot of us need supports for math. So you just scroll down to the bottom of the special ed, the SearTech website, and let's go to that child find tool. And what you see here is it does provide everybody supports for your MTSS systems. And notice here it has things all related to that tier 1 supports, things to guide you for your math instruction. We all know that HQIR, a lot of you have those purchased and in place now. But here we can see Tier 2. It gives us some general information. Tier 3, it does utilize that CSA model. That's that concrete, semi-concrete abstract. This could be a really good resource for some of our teachers that just need a little extra support sometimes. But this is one of those things that a lot of people, when they start looking at it, so here we look at, if we have a kid, the problem or concern is they are having trouble, let's go with this one, an inability to subsidize without counting, inability to count backwards. They have a difficulty remembering previously encountered, material. So these are some things, and they even use that, that Hattie research of that effect size of how much it will help your kids grow. And then here's some different lesson plans that you can utilize and some different resources, evidence that you can collect to show what you have done to provide that support. And then your student data collection has a lot of different things. And as you go down here, you'll see all the different problems or concerns, the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 intervention strategies, because what we kind of got to remember, we might do one instruction in Tier 1, but sometimes we do a similar instruction in Tier 2 and Tier 3 to support that work. And so a lot of it can be utilized in all three in that Tier 1 also. So just kind of keeping that in mind. But as you look through here, oh, thank you, at the bottom. Oh, yeah, I know it is a great resource, isn't it? Thank you, Nina, for dropping that in there. But if you will, where you will find that is, let me go back, just so that when you get away from it, if you type in KVEC and you come up to the main page and you're like, where's special ed? We have the buttons here at the bottom. You just go to special education, and these tools are at the bottom. Now notice we clicked on math. But there is also a tool for reading. There is a tool for writing, developmental delay for our younger students in the younger grades, right? Do you have something to say, Nina?
Go ahead. I was just gonna say the challenging behavior one I have used many times because I know across the nation behaviors are an issue, and it does break it down by the Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. So, if that's a problem. I love it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
I love these.
these are wonderful. And I am so glad you mentioned it, because this is the perfect place to mention these tools. And just, thank you. This is why I need people helping me here. So this is a great tool. Behavior. Oh my goodness. When we have those challenging behaviors, look at all the different things that are within here. Notice, here's your behavior concern. Here's Tier 1. Interventions. Then they provide Tier 2 and Tier 3. Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. You say thank you, Nina, because Mary Belcher forgot to mention it. Thank you, thank you. This is a perfect one, but what a great resource for you all to have. And a lot of us, I didn't know these existed. And when I came to KVEC and they started showing them to me, I was like, well, that would have been nice to know while I was in district if I had had those tools. And so just making sure that you all know, because sometimes we feel like we're having to build things from scratch, but there's been so much great work done by our special ed crew here at KVEC, and they have task force. They're working with other co-ops across the state. But just, a lot of work has been done for us to kind of help provide us support. Our MTSS website, like was mentioned earlier, that is a phenomenal resource. If you run into a roadblock, you're going to be able to find support there. And then Kentucky Avery also just provides extra support. There are so many resources, and maybe that's something that we kind of want to make sure that we do in some of our MTSS meetings, is making sure you are aware of some of these great resources that are out there that can provide support in your MTSS systems. And so just want to make sure, but yes, the behavior one, it is a phenomenal one. So if you did not know that this existed, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to call it, because this is just a wealth of tools that you all can utilize when you're talking. And if you have a really problem kid that you are struggling with, your special ed co-ops, you're going to have a person here at KVEC. We have Doug Smith. He is phenomenal when it comes to behavior. He will help provide support for you. So just want to make sure you all are aware of that too. But behavior can sometimes be very challenging, but look at all of these. So if you have students that are having any of these behavior concerns, look at all the supports and things that are already laid out for you that can help you all in addressing the needs of those kids. So that's just another thing. Thank you, Nina, for reminding me of that, because I love those tools too. I use them too, and they're great. Thank you, thank you. That was a big old thing there. So just want to make sure that you do know where to find these. Again, if you are at just the KVEC site, if you type in KVEC, you always will need to go to the special ed side, and it's all the way at the bottom of their page. And that's the thing, it's kind of hidden a little bit to where if you really don't know what you're looking at, know what you're looking for, it's really hard to find. So they're right there at the bottom for you all. And look at all the areas we have. We have the behavior, developmental delay, the math, reading, and writing. Now, you got some homework because you can go play with those and look at all of those resources now that you've been given for support between our MTSS website, the Kentucky Avery website, and now also the KVEC website. So you all can go and be looking and finding things that are helpful. Now, some of the links I will say on the child find tools, those tools have been around a few years, haven't they, Nina? I mean, they've been around for a little while, so some of the links may be broken, and so you might need to do a Google search for that tool, or look at another one. But a lot of those are there, so just want to make sure that you are aware of all of those. And you are most welcome. Appreciate you all in the chat saying, that you didn't realize these resources were there either. I didn't either while I was in district, so know exactly where you're coming from on that. Thank you, Nina, for mentioning those. Appreciate you. Now, if nobody has anything, maybe that's sometimes some things that we do as we explore resources, but any questions, like if you're wanting to see middle school examples, elementary examples, you have great things going on in your district that you want to share, that's what we want this space to be for you all in our MTSS network, because we can learn great things from each other and to help us to all get better, because we got to just remember it's all about the kids is what we want to make sure. It's about every single child and making sure we're providing supports for them and helping them to the best of our abilities. And I do feel like with the knowledge we have in this virtual meeting setting right now, we've got a wealth of knowledge that can help us to help our students. But if you all don't have anything else for me to, if anybody else thinks of something you would like us to share and to pull up, please mention it, because, of being able to remember it. But next time we are going to be looking at a high school system for MTSS that is having some success, that's having success in Morgan County. Excited to hear about that and things that they have going on. Last thing is just some of our KVEC contacts here, that if you have questions about MTSS, of course, you got me and Pam that are available if you have some questions. If there's trainings that you all need us to bring to KVEC, let us know what it is you are needing us to bring around MTSS, because Melissa has done trainings here for us before where we've done regional training. So if there is something that we're needing to provide support with, PBIS, whatever it may be, send us an email. We'll help you any way we can with that. But that is our contacts. Our meeting dates, so we have just finished up. I did have to bump the 9th back a week because I had a meeting that came up that I had no control over. Our next meeting is January 20th. I know that seems a little far away, but I know a lot of you will be. When we had our discussion for a planning meeting, these are kind of around where we're doing those benchmark assessments. And so it allows us to come back and have conversations I do also want to mention that we are having a data day. I think you may have seen it on the PL calendar. It's in October, because that's when you're going to be doing your needs assessments. So that might be something to come and work with us for a data day where we kind of come together. I know you have data in districts already, but the public release has not hasn't happened yet. And if we get information that says it would be better to hold it off later, we can do that. But we know there's that report due November 1st for your needs assessment, is why we were going to do it in October, just to kind of help provide some support for you all to be able to have conversations, kind of get away from district and be able to really dive into your data before the public release, and being able to look at some of your data in-house with that.
Hey, Mary, a quick question. Have we heard anything about science scores yet?
Well, since you mentioned that, it's a great question. They will be being released. I was actually on the committee last week that was looking at the data. And so that got completed on Friday. And so now the next process is they're going to do work at KDE and looking at what they gathered from us as the group of looking at the assessments and making those cut scores. Then they'll have to send it on to the commissioner. And so you should be hearing some things more toward the end of the month, getting some data on that, but they're not going to be releasing the data. What is it, November? What was the date that they said that they're going to give the public release? It will not be till November, but you should be hearing some things probably in October-ish when it comes to the science, is my understanding, for it to go through all its processes.
So that'll be individual cut scores, because I don't think we have individual scores.
Yeah, because you don't have the individual, because that's what we were doing, is setting those cut scores last week, or making recommendations, I guess is the better term to use on that one. Great question. Great question on that one. So that will be coming in time, where you will get your individual student data. Any other questions? So January 20th, I'll do a calendar invite. I don't think I have that for you all yet. I'll do the 20th, and April 14th will be the final one. But just always appreciate everybody coming and joining us. I'm going to put, the first link I'm going to put in the chat is our feedback survey for just this session today. All right. When you complete that, it's going to email you a certificate with ELA credit. Now, I've already put in the ELA number for you. Don't change it. Already put the title in for you. You don't need to change that either. I've already put in the name of the presenter today. We've got KVEC staff on that one that we've pulled together. So you just fill out the other information, and that is for our network for here today. So I'm going to hit enter. So you go ahead and do that. Leave it at 2 hours, because Melissa has shared a great, you go and utilize that MTSS website. Nina has shared a wealth of information with you all with Kentucky Avery, so that you all have that website that you can go and look at. And so that's why I am okay for you to still put 2 hours, because you also have information you can go look at because you got extra time. Go ahead and explore some of those resources, and then go look at those child find tools. If you have not, which I know some of you all sitting in this meeting, you're looking at them right now. You're still looking at those. But look and explore some of those resources, and then that allows you to, because this is time that we've used as a network, and look and see what you have that you can, and let's count that time for you. So leave it at 2 hours. The other thing I'm going to drop into the chat is we are working with UK Next Gen, and we're going through and we're doing some of our own just about KVEC in general. Now, this includes our special ed. This includes our general ed. This just provides all of the supports that we do for you all as districts. And so you may see other times where this is up. You just need to do it one time. But we have a survey for just KVEC as a whole, not just our MTSS network. But I do want to drop that in the chat for you all. And if you would take some time, if you could, after this, you've done your other feedback survey. And if you do not get your certificate in your email, let me know, because as long as you hit submit, it will generate a certificate. The usual problem that happens is something happens with your email when you're typing it in. Sometimes the email, if you get one letter off and it's not your email address, it won't go. So if you don't get your certificate, please let me know. It will come from kvec.training at the holler. So be looking for that. You should get it within 5 minutes. If you don't get it, let me know. But here is the other survey. Now, this is just a general survey of KVEC, of where we are asking for you all to give us some feedback, because we want to just make sure we're serving you all. And, Nina shared with you about the Child Find tool. That's a great resource, making sure you're aware of are we getting that information out of all the great resources that are available? And so just kind of giving us some feedback for us as a co-op, we would appreciate it. And so, like I said, this is a general one for all of KVEC, not just our MTSS network that we're doing here today. And so if you will take just a few minutes to fill that out, that will take it has more questions. It's not just a point and click. You're going to type out some things for us on that one. But thank you all for being here today. If there's ever anything we can do to help you all, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we'll see you in January. So take just a few minutes to do those surveys. Help us out with that. And you all have a great day.